Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to a bonus episode of Agufish. After a couple of years of everything getting delayed, the new year is now flowing freely. There was just too much to talk about for just one episode this week, so we're splitting it up into two. If you go on to enjoy the video, do me a favor and consensually fondle the like button, or whatever you're feeling. It actually really helps out in the algorithm, and with that, let's jump into your questions. Colonel Ty Ball asks, thoughts on the Epiphone Prophecy Dave Mustaine signature? Ooh, yeah, so Dave Mustaine's guitar tech has been quite active on Instagram recently. He's been posting pictures of the prototype signatures from the custom shop and a few prototypes of the import signatures. The slime green metallic Kramer nearly caught me. I think they've only officially announced a brown one with the initial launch collection, and then they did a rusted piece edition Gibson Flying V with the special inlays in the same green metallic and the same Seymour Duncan 59 and Thrash Factor combo, same modified control layout. So if you weren't paying close attention, this might seem like a guitar that was already announced, and it's not. That is a phenomenal color for a pointy V though, and I love that V string through compared to the stop tail on the Gibsons. They're also doing the Kramer in black, it seems, and then with the bound fingerboard. I mean, it's a metal guitar. It's a requirement to at least have black or white in the lineup. Now, these images were posted this month, so for anyone wondering whether they were still actually committed to the Dave Mustaine Kramer models, they definitely haven't given up on them. One of the questions, though, was always going to be, okay, so how are the Kramers going to compare to the Epiphones, besides just the different shape, right? Because both of them are Gibson-owned import instrument brands. Well, we've got our first look at those, and I gotta say, the black metallic sparkle Epiphone looks very, very hot. Same shape as the Gibson version, all down to the Explorer headstock. One of the coolest things about the Mustaine signatures. You have the multiply custom binding, what looks to be a bound ebony fingerboard, dot inlays. Interestingly, instead of the mini shark fin things on the Gibson, you're still getting 24 frets though, if that's a selling point for you. V string through and Seymour Duncan 59 Thrash Factor set, just like the Kramer, so we'll have to see what the price point is on these compared to the Kramer, because from the specs, or at least the ones that we can see, they seem about equal. Again, it's just a different shape. I don't know about those dots though on the fingerboard. I'm torn. Honestly, I like them better than the inlays on the Gibsons, but I don't know. Those inlays are part of the Dave Mustaine guitar look, and I'm never a fan of artificial differentiation. There's no real cost reason that Gibson is changing the inlays on the affordable import. But again, that dark sparkle looks very hot. The biggest news though that the Colonel mentioned is that Dave Mustaine is getting an Epiphone Prophecy signature. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. Let's talk about it. Same visual style as the main Prophecy lineup, satin black burst on a bright colored flame veneer, brushed chrome hardware. I'm not sure if it's the camera making a visual illusion, but the control layout looks less hockey stick shaped and more of an angled straight line. Weird. But yeah, basically they've taken Dave Mustaine's combination of the Flying V body with the Explorer headstock, and they've made a Prophecy out of it. Down to the Fishman Fluence pickups though. That doesn't make sense. That's literally not what Dave Mustaine uses. What's extra weird is he's even got his own signature active pickups with Seymour Duncan, the live wires. Tell me it wouldn't make more sense to use Dave Mustaine's signature live wire active set in a Dave Mustaine signature active guitar. I get it, man. The Fishman Fluence modern set is awesome. All my regular viewers are fucking sick of me talking about how incredible they are. But like, I don't know, man, this guitar has the same vibes as Jerry Cantrell's signature Prophecy. At least in that case, Jerry Cantrell is a Fishman artist, I guess, not because he uses Fluence, but because he uses a Fishman piezo, whereas Dave Mustaine is not a Fishman artist at all. Maybe it'll be a backup on the rig because the specs are good. It's got the right shape, it's a solid guitar, but like it doesn't have Mustaine's pickups, Mustaine's inlays. It's more Prophecy than it is Dave Mustaine. You get me? This does not seem like a guitar Dave Mustaine will actually play regularly, if at all. Just like with Jerry Cantrell's model, I think the idea of a signature Prophecy is awesome. Just the way they've gone about these is a bit off. Like, they've just attached artist names to them, but spec-wise, they're Prophecies. Again, this is the perfect opportunity to put Dave Mustaine's signature live wires in this guitar, make it more modern but still very much Dave Mustaine. That is a confoundingly bizarre call. I don't know, I will be shocked to see either of the current Prophecy signatures actually used by either artist. They're both cool looking metal guitars though, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but with the level of names attached, both of these seem like missed opportunities to do something unique with the Prophecy platform. But those are just my initial thoughts. What do you think about these leaked Dave Mustaine prototypes? I'm especially curious to know what you're thinking about the Prophecy, but any and all thoughts, leave them down below. Speaking of being curious though, I know you're probably curious about today's sponsor, Established Titles. Maybe not yet, but listen to this, you're gonna love this one. Established Titles is based on the historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords or ladies. And Established Titles lets you buy plots of at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Scotland, so you can officially call yourself Lord whatever, Lady whoever. And this is a title you can actually use. You can put it on airplane tickets, Costco memberships, credit cards, Starbucks orders. And one of my favorite things, they support global reforestation efforts, working with organizations like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. So for every order, a tree gets planted. In fact, with Trees for the Future alone, they've planted over 2 million trees globally. That's great for us guitarists because guess where guitar wood comes from? Makes for a memorable last minute gift, especially for those hard to shop for friends. It's a fun way to support environmental conservation, so head on over to establishedtitles.com/Agufish, or you can click the link in the description. First 200 of you to claim title packs using my link will reserve plots of land right next to mine, so that's kind of cool. Right now they're running a big early Black Friday sale, and you can use code Agufish for an additional 10% off. So there's never been a better time for you to snag your lord or your ladyship and plant some trees. Did not break a $6,900 nice Nocaster asks, I know you were a big Blink fan in your youth, so was wondering if you heard their new single with Tom back. In my youth? Are you calling me old? But yeah, I am old. Look at my taste in guitars, and that single brought me back to my youth. If you somehow haven't heard the news yet, Blink is back together with the classic Enema of the State, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket era lineup. Tom has taken a break from making the Navy admit that UFOs exist to making music in Blink. They released a new single called Edging yesterday at the time of filming, and to be honest, I'm not sure it was that awesome a song. It was kind of catchy, it's pretty good, but it's really just the feels of hearing Mark and Tom sing together on a song that got me. And I didn't think the Matt Skiba era was that bad, but it just didn't sound like Blink without Tom's vocals. He's not like the best singer in the traditional sense, but there's something about his vocals that makes Blink blink. And I don't know, I'm excited for the new era, I'm excited for the tour that's coming through, and I don't think I'll ever be as big a fan of the newer stuff as I am of the songs I've been listening to for nearly 2 decades. And that's not a knock on the new material, it's just when you've been listening to songs for that long, they're basically irreplaceable. And especially when you were listening to them in your formative years of discovering what your music taste is. Like, after I heard the single, I went back and listened to Pants and Jacket from front to back, so good. And then after that, Ocean Avenue, and then went down the full When We Were Young festival lineup, probably. But what are you guys thinking about Blink being back together with Tom, about the new single, about aliens? Let me know in the comments down below. Phoenix Blue asks, thoughts on PRS getting into the pedal market with 3 new pedals? Discord says bad. Bad? The names are so quirky though. That was sarcasm for the people who have already seen the pedal names. So I'll preface it with this. I don't really get pedals, honestly. Like, obviously I know how to use them, but it's like I don't get pedal collecting. A good tube screamer is a good tube screamer, a good analog delay is a good analog delay, you know what I mean? At this point there's so many pedals on the market, it just seems like it's the same pedals being released over and over and over and over again. But the new PRS pedal lineup consists of the Mary Cries optical compressor, the Horsemeat transparent overdrive, and the Wind Through the Trees dual analog flanger. I had no idea flangers could look so intense. That is a serious flanger. That means serious business. And it's kind of a super random one to use as basically the flagship of a new pedal line. Usually you'd think it'd be an analog delay or something generic. So respect to that. The pedal market is so saturated though, I think these will sell purely because it's PRS and they have such a dedicated fan base. You know, I'm sure if Gibson made pedals, they'd sell. Fender pedals sell well, from what I understand, because of the same reason, a dedicated fan base. I think pedal displays are awesome, and this could be complete ignorance talking, but pedal art design honestly might be more diverse than the internal circuits. Like, how many times can you repackage a transparent overdrive? Apparently the answer is an unlimited amount of times, as long as it looks dope. And the art style for these pedals does look pretty dope, subdued, modern, kind of the opposite of their guitars when you think about it. I kind of wish there was more art style continuity between PRS amps and the pedals, but yeah, I like the design. I don't know, did the world need this? Let me know what you think. Average BeamNG Enjoyer asks, thoughts on Ivan Moody leaving Five Finger Don't Care? Keep this on your radar. Gibson has relaunched their pickup shop. You can now buy a huge selection of Gibson pickups individually aftermarket. Just like the guitar lineup, it's separated into collections that I guess they can expand on in the future. The Historic Collection has your Alnico 3 custom buckers, really cool, you can buy those now. So if you want to go full Adam Jones in your Epiphone Silver Burst, now's your chance. Might see if I can nab a custom bucker from my Adam Jones Standard, actually, because it didn't come with it. The original collection is your 57 classics of Gibson's best vintage-inspired pickup, in my humble opinion. So creamy. And then your burst buckers, like every current burst bucker, types 1, 2, 3, Pro, 60s, all various takes on the PAF formula. T-type humbuckers, the modern take on the T-tops, which is supposed to be slightly brighter than burst buckers, almost have a single coil quality to the attack. Your higher output 70s tribute humbuckers, and Dirty Fingers fans rejoice, it's back. One of Gibson's best ever pickups, high output ceramic beast of a humbucker. And then the modern collection has, well, go figure, all of Gibson's most popular modern pickups. The 490T and R Modern Classic humbuckers, 498T Hot Alnico humbucker, 496R Hot Ceramic humbucker, and the 500T Super Ceramic humbucker. Sadly, no mention of the 496T, which is one of my favorite modern Gibson pickups, and it's very rare. The only guitar I know it came in was the 2017 Firebird Studio. Other than that, no clue. So I was really hoping it would be part of this Gibson pickup shop, but alas, no. Some quick thoughts. To be honest, the website does not do a great job of really helping you distinguish the difference between all the pickups, especially since there are so many options and a lot of them are based on the same or at least similar platform. I mean, half the damn original collection is based on the PAF, and obviously the marketing copy makes every pickup sound like the best thing ever without actually saying much of anything. And it's written in a way that assumes you already know what you're kind of looking for. For example, look at this description for the T-types. The T-type humbucker pickups are a nod to the T-top pickups that Gibson made between 1966 and 1979. T-top is also the name of my favorite boba tea place. Just thought I'd throw that in there because it's just as useful as the rest of the description, but we remove. T-type pickups use polycell wire and Alnica 5 magnets, just like the original T-tops, which are still some of the most popular pickups Gibson has ever made and a favorite of many of today's top players. The T-type pickups have nickel covers and balanced coils, and like the originals, they are left unpotted for vintage correct tone. Okay, but what the f does any of that really mean though in terms of how these sound, especially to someone who's never played a T-top pickup? Not a whole lot. If you know what other Alnica 5 magnet pickups sound like, that can give you a clue, but even then, sonically, Alnica 5 magnets have a wide range. Let me ask you this, what's more useful, that flowery description or the tone chart and output rating graphs that Seymour Duncan uses? So I think it's great Gibson is making almost their full range of pickups available for aftermarket purchase. The Dirty Fingers and Alnico 3 custom buckers are some key standouts. Hopefully they'll add more to the range, like the 496T or P94, the humbucker size P90, and maybe even signature pickups like the 84T LM in Lee Malia's signatures later down the line. And hopefully they also add useful tone and output graphs to compare pickups at a glance. Because right now there's just not enough useful information and the selection is probably overwhelming for the normal consumer. The pipe dream is if you could download DI and run it through your own rig to find out how it would sound like with your own gear, but Gibson does not seem the type of company that would do that. But just nitpicky stuff, this is a good day for Epiphone modders. There's even a few in there that I'm interested in. Might see if we can do a high integrity project together or something using them. But that's the big Gibson news of the day. What do you guys think? Fender dropped a whole new series, big quotation marks around new, because it's the American Vintage 2 series. Even Fender knows it, man. The tagline is brand new again, which honestly, I don't have a problem with. The Vintage 2 series seems to be a collection of previously reissued guitars, and that's what I thought Fender was doing anyway. But like the Gibson pickup shop, it's cool that they're now all available at the same time as part of a standard lineup. So the Vintage 2 series covers 3 eras, the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s. The 50s and 60s models all have nitro lacquer finishes because that's how they did it back in the day, and all of them have 7¼ inch fingerboard radii, and if you've never tried it before, it is ridiculously round. And they've got new pure Vintage series pickups. Fender says that these are specially voiced for each model to be as accurate as possible to the original sounds, and they've also got vintage style hardware that corresponds to each model. Starting from the top, in the 50s, we've got an ash-bodied 51 Telecaster in butterscotch, because of course, and a 57 Stratocaster in seafoam green and 2-color sunburst with an alder body, and then vintage blonde with an ash body, both available left-handed in all colors. The Tele has a huge U-neck shape, and then with the really round 7¼ inch fingerboard radius, it feels absolutely absurd. It's straight up baseball bat territory. Then a 3 brass barrel saddle ashtray bridge for a warmer sound. The Strat, meanwhile, has a soft V neck shape that was introduced to the model in that year. Moving on to the 60s, a 61 Stratocaster, a 63 Telecaster, and a 66 Jazzmaster. The Strat comes in Olympic white, 3-color sunburst, and Fiesta red. By this time, they'd moved to a C-shaped neck and a rosewood fingerboard. The 63 Tele comes in 3-color sunburst, crimson red transparent, and an amazing surf green. Looks so damn good with the rosewood fingerboard. Interestingly, crimson red has a mahogany body, and that's pretty uncommon. 63 C-shaped neck, and the 3-barrel saddles are stainless steel for a colder sound compared to the 51s. The Jazzmaster comes in 3-color sunburst, Dakota red, and Lake Placid blue, which looks incredible with the matching headstock. Shares a lot of the same specs: rosewood board, 1966 C-shaped neck. 66 was the first year they used block inlays on a Jazzmaster. Makes sense they'd use this specific year for the Vintage 2 reissue. And then lastly, the 70s. We've got a 72 Tele Thinline, a 73 Strat, a 75 Telecaster Deluxe, and a 77 Telecaster Custom. A lot of Tele went down in the 70s. Something else to note, the 70s models are not finished with nitro if that feel and how it ages is important to you. They've also got the bullet style truss rod adjustment. You don't have to take the neck off, and that's also when they moved to 6 steel saddles for Teles. The 72 Thinline has an ash body and comes in aged natural, 3-color sunburst, and Lake Placid blue. 1972 is the first full production year of the second generation Thinlines that had a large pearloid pickguard, and was also Fender's first ever humbucker model. The 73 Strat is the first in the American Vintage 2 series with that glorious big headstock. Ash body comes in aged natural, Lake Placid blue, and mocha. I'm just glad there's at least one Strat with a giant headstock in the lineup. The 75 Tele Deluxe is cool. It's the most Les Paul out of all of them. Dual wide range humbuckers, 4-control layout, pickup selector on the top, comes in 3-color sunburst, black or mocha with an alder body. And lastly, the 77 Telecaster Custom that comes in wine, black, or Olympic white, where you can really see how crazy the pickguard is on this model. This might be my favorite model in the series, actually. It's a combination between a classic Tele and the Tele Deluxe. If it had the large headstock too, it might just be the perfect Tele. Good thing Fenders are so modular, right? And what I really like about the series is each model is so specific to a certain year. So at least in theory, they can get real accurate in the details and the specs for that specific year. The vintage-inspired Made in Mexico Vintera series is great, but because each model is spec'd by decade, it's kind of a mishmash of specs from each period, rather than being deliberately spec'd to exactly how the Telecaster was in 1963 or exactly how the Jazzmaster was in 1966. Real vintage guitars are expensive and quality can be all over the place. Same thing with the legendary 59 Les Pauls. Apparently some of them are actually bad guitars, but as Slash says, you're still paying for the pedigree. It's super cool to have a good, legitimate vintage guitar, but there is a risk factor to them, especially buying sight unseen. Even the pickups can vary wildly in tone. Some sound amazing, others much less amazing, and that's why I'm a fan of vintage reissues. You get to re-explore the legacy, the historic specs, but built with the consistency of modern manufacturing methods. Right now, the cheapest 66 Jazzmaster with block inlays is listed at about $10,000 on Reverb. So when you think about it that way, these are relatively attainable if you're looking for these specific classic spec combinations. And Fender gets a lot of shit for re-releasing the same stuff over and over and over again, but people buy the classics. And also Fender has done a lot of experimentation recently with the alternate reality and parallel universe series. They just released the Player Plus Meteora, the Noventa series. Credit where credit is due. There's a good balance of modern and vintage in their lineup, but those are just some of my thoughts. What do you guys think about these? Tim Henson of Polyphia has a new signature model, TOD, or Tree of Death 10. Name stems from the Tree of Death fingerboard inlay. And it's a nylon acoustic electric. If you've been keeping up with Polyphia, you're probably familiar with it already. He's been using it in the Playing God video, the new one, I forgot what it's called, with Steve Vai, or as Luke calls it, Ibanez's 2022-23 product catalog, the video. The TOD10 is allegedly inspired by an older design, the SC500N, and the concept is the same, but they've changed a bunch of shit. They modernized it. First, the obvious. It's got a classical guitar style headstock, and then they've given it a semi-hollow FR style body with top binding and in black, so it's edgier. C-shaped Niato neck, walnut fingerboard with a 15.8-inch radius and a 1.8-inch wide nut. Generally, nylon string guitars don't have any radius, so it's literally just a flat fingerboard and an even wider 2-inch nut. The TOD10 still has wide string spacing, but still a little bit of curve that electric guitar players, and especially Ibanez players, will appreciate. The body has Sapele back and sides, Sitka spruce top, and under the hood, fan bracing, generally only found on classical guitars in an attempt to retain that sound for the Tree of Death. The body is only 50 millimeters thick, and the sound hole faces the top to preserve a modern look. And the last big feature are the electronics, the Ibanez preamp and Fishman Sonicore pickup. So you can plug this in and get various tonal options that way. Honestly, the TOD10 is a cool blend of electric and classical guitars. Polyphia are kind of changing the game, man. I'll be honest, no idea if this is the first time someone's done something like this. I'd be immensely surprised if they haven't. It's definitely a weird one. It could either launch a whole slew of copycats or just be a quick fad that should probably just stop at one. I'm looking at you, Fender Acoustasonics. But Polyphia is huge, and at an attractive price point of $699, if there was ever a chance for this to succeed, it's now. I can actually see a lot of Polyphia fans picking this up purely because it's Tim Henson's signature, and his Black Beauty AZ is over double the price. My question is, where's Scotty's signature? Justice for Scotty, the one he's using is just as cool and a little less extra. But yeah, the TOD10, really interesting guitar. Not really my thing, but it's different, it's evolutionary. Kind of describes my feelings on Polyphia's music in general. What are your thoughts on this one? Then PRS has been hitting us with more than just wacky named pedals. They've also dropped a new tube amp, the HDRX 20. This dropped, the new Archons are in stock. I haven't been keeping up. Are we out of the tube shortage now or something? But PRS were apparently given the opportunity to study Jimi Hendrix Woodstock modded Plexi. They were able to replicate that modded circuit, and they've been selling 50 and 100 watt versions since last year, priced at around $3,000. And for the HDRX 20, they've distilled the formula down to an accessible sub $1,000 import 20 watt version. That's pretty cool, a 20 watt version of Hendrix's Woodstock tone. They also dropped 3 new acoustics. If you care about that stuff, I respect the way that acoustics paved the way for electric guitars, like the new highly limited Robben Ford McCarty. 200 units worldwide. Some noticeable differences from the base model are the exclusive PRS humbuckers. PRS have apparently attempted to bring some single coil character to the pickups, since that's what Robben Ford likes. And then the pickups can be split for even more single coil action. It's got a modified control layout, old school bird inlays where the entire bird is abalone. The new ones, they have a parloid outline, African blackwood fingerboard, full nitro finishes where modern PRSs have nitro over poly, so you get the feel of nitro but the protection of poly. But with this model, old school birds and a full nitro finish, it's kind of a cool callback to previous generation PRSs. It's pretty expensive, but if you want that feel, PRS literally doesn't make guitars like that anymore. Solar's got another signature, this time for Nocturno Culto of Darkthrone. And I love this one. Solar guitars are metal as fuck. So it's almost a breath of fresh air when they put a more classic spin on things, when usually with most brands it's the complete opposite. So it's a Solar single cut in tobacco burst, flame maple veneer on a mahogany body with a set through C-shaped mahogany neck, gloss finish for the body, satin for the neck, zebra Seymour Duncan distortion direct mounted pickups, chrome hardware, and then an ebony board, stainless steel frets, lumen lays. So it's inspired by the classic Les Paul standard, but then it's got modern features and it uses a metal guitar platform. Excellent. One of my favorite Solars. Links and details to all those in the description. But that will do it for this bonus episode of Agufish. See you later this week. I've got an amp demo dropping hopefully soon, and I've got a Squire over there that's disassembled and is begging me to either finish the project or put it out of its misery. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any new content from me, and so I can personally drop guitar content and information into your feed. Massive shout out to the awesome patrons that make this and all the other content possible. If you want to support the channel as well, get bonus extras, link in the description. You can also join as a channel member. That's a nice way to leave a tip if you're enjoying the content and want to support me directly. Social media, Discord, and affiliate links are down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I will see you for the next video.